The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you.
What's up? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and you can see this next comedian all this week at Side Splitters Comedy Club here in Tampa Bay. On the phone line is comedian Sean Donnelly. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up? How's it going, Brian?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a big fan of your comedy. I've been watching it recently, and I love the open and how honest you are when it comes to the approach of comedy.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Now, where did that come from? Was there a comedian that influenced you to be open and honest, or is that you being yourself?
Yeah, I would say no. I'm just trying to be as much myself as possible. I think there was a bunch of comics that influence. I think every comic has people that influence them. I was a big Jim Norton fan, and I was a big Brian Regan fan, and Jim Gaffigan, and all those guys. But as far as being honest, I think, you try to be that as any comic. You try to be that as a comic. Try to be honest on stage.
Now, how has the grind of comedy been for you? You've been in comedy for years now. How do you think you've done so far?
To be completely honest, I never thought I would even get to this point. I'm happy with where I'm having a great time. I'm working. I don't think you should ever be happy with where you are. You should always be trying to get better and trying to become a better comic, as well as, career-wise. You want things to go better than they are. But I'm happy I've gotten to this point, because when I first started, I didn't even imagine I would get to the point where I was a working comic. I started kind of as a dream kind of thing. So, am I happy? Yeah, I'm happy I've gotten this far, but I'm not. You're not satisfied. You never want to stop, and you don't want to sit there and be completely. You don't want to settle and be like, I'm good. I'm funny enough, and I've hit my career ceiling enough. So I'm happy, but also I'm driven to try to do better things, better comedy, better gigs, try to get more of a fan base, and improve things overall.
Now, when you look at comedy after a show, are you hard on yourself, or are you able to kind of sit back and appreciate what you just did to the audience? Are you hard on yourself, or are you pretty easy on yourself?
I'm hard on myself. I am harder on myself than actually how reality was. So if a set goes pretty well, I think it did not go well. I have in my head that I want to be crushing the entire time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think everybody's that way. You want to impress the audience when you're up there.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm definitely, if I had to classify myself, I am harder on myself for how I do after shows. But then usually it's an immediate reaction where I'm like, damn, I wish that went better. But then after you think about it a little bit, you're like, okay, that was cool. Whatever it is. You never, depending on the set, you know how comedy is. It varies from set to set. There's a saying where it's like you're only as happy as however your last set went. So if you bombed the night before, you got to be the party that's going to be annoyed until the next time you go up on stage.
Now, how do you make sure that you don't bomb up there? Do you meditate before shows? Is there like a pre-show routine you do to make sure you're calm up there? Is there something you do in your free time to help you out?
I'm calm up there because I've been doing it a while. I'm not going to freak out at all. The only pre-show thing I do is I'm a pacer. I'll pace before I go up, and that makes me feel better. I'll pace in the back of the room or whatever it is. Or I have a thing where I like to check out at least the last 5 to 10 minutes of the person before me, so I'm like in the room and I'm not just running in and going up. I don't like that. So I have little things like that I like to that makes me more settled. But it's not to the point where I'm not going to get nervous. I'm doing it long enough where even if I bomb, which a true bomb hasn't happened in a while, and I've had mediocre sets where that happens to everybody, but like a true bomb is, the technical definition of it is like silence, and that hasn't happened to me in a while. But if it does, yeah, you just deal with it because you're used to doing it. Like, so you've been there before. You're not happy when it's happening, but you're not going to like start sweating or crying or run off or anything like that. You're just going to deal with it. You trudge through it. You try to bring it back by switching things up. You might switch up what you're doing, what jokes you're doing, or crowd work. and then whatever happens, happens. You can't really control if it's not happening, it's not happening. Yeah.
Now, you talked about how you like to see the guy that's on right before you, and you like to watch the last 10 minutes to see how he does. Let's say the guy absolutely kills it. He knocks it out of the park. Are you nervous that you have to live up to that type of pressure, or do you just go in there and you be yourself?
Yeah, I like when people do. You like when people do well before you, but you should get nervous before if that happens, because not nervous like you're thinking. You should get excited to go up and do your best. Because there was a Patrice ONeal thing I read from a while ago where he's like, you should always have butterflies in your stomach before you go up, or it's not worth doing, because then you don't care about what's happening. You should always care about how you're going to go up and do, or you're kind of over it and you don't care anymore. So yeah, if somebody kills before me, there's part of me that's like, damn, I better bring it and I better do a good job. But it's also like, that's good, because it makes that energy, that quote unquote nervous energy, it makes you have a better set. It doesn't make you complacent. It doesn't make you not care as much.
Now, can you think of a show where you just knocked it out of the park, and from the first 20 seconds until the show ended, it was just joke after joke and the crowd was loving it?
Can I think of a Can I think of a set where I killed it?
Yeah, you just knocked it out of the park and the crowd was just laughing.
Yes, I bet that's happened. Yeah, that happens. That happens sometimes. Yeah, I can think of that. Sure.
And what is that like when you're up there? When you're up there and the crowd is just laughing at every single joke, I bet there's a rush that you just get chills down your spine.
It's the best feeling. It's why you do it. It gets the most excited. It's the biggest ego boost you can get. Like I said, you're only as happy as how your last set was. So that you can write off that for like a week. I had a great set last night, and I'm in a good mood today because of it. I'm like, I think back to it. It gives you good vibes. It makes you more excited.
Now, what is your take on audience members that go to comedy shows and then get offended by them? How annoying is it with the case of fake outrage in 2017?
The fake outrage, I think if you're going to get offended by something easily, you shouldn't go to a comedy club. I think I'm under the school of thought anything should be allowed to be said on stage. And then I'm also under the school of thought that you also deal with the ramifications of that. So, like, now if you say something that offends somebody, you're going to deal with or if you say something that's not funny that's offending people, you're going to deal with groans, you're going to deal with silence, and that's just your thing. You can't get mad at them for not laughing, but also if you're an audience member, you can't be mad. It's just words. You can't be mad at what somebody says on stage. I think anything should be allowed to be said on stage at any moment, and I think that. But what ends up happening sometimes, you're dealing with the reactions is sometimes somebody will walk up and punch you in the face. That might happen, and something you got to deal with. But I still think you should be allowed to say it.
Have you ever kind of toned back your act so that you don't offend the audience, or do you just go up there and you're just your typical Sean self and you don't care about what anybody says?
I've never toned it back. I've done shows where they haven't had cursing and stuff, and I've tried to not curse. I curse in my everyday life a lot, so I tried to do that, toning it back. But material-wise, I have a couple of things that are quasi-offensive, but pretty offensive, but I'm not. I mostly talk about myself. I'm not super, super offensive, so I haven't had to really tone anything back. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it just because I know how I am, and my personality, the way I come off, is like it's more fun and fun-loving than it is like, hey, I'm trying to shock you. I have a couple things in jokes that I say that people have gotten offended before, but I'm not like a shocking comedian, really. So I've never had to really dial it back because the stuff I say isn't crazy. I'm talking about my own personal experience anyway, so,
Dude, how awesome was it when you got to be on 2 different late-night talk shows with big names in that type of media business, with being on The Late Show with David Letterman and Conan? How surreal was that, being on their shows?
It was unbelievable. It was, like I said in the beginning of the interview, it was like I did not think that I would get to this point. Like when I did Letterman, it wasn't inside my body. I was floating around my body because I was like literally shocked that it was going on, and I was like, it was a life goal. It was a life dream come true, absolutely. And Conan is like my favorite late night guy. When I did that I was the same kind of thing. I was just completely freaking out.
Would you say that every time you've been on any TV show, it's helped you get more and more fame to your comedy career?
Yes. I think late night sets used to help comedians' careers back in the day. They used to help, like, you could do a Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and the next day be famous. And it doesn't happen like that anymore, but anytime you're on TV, it's helping you because it helps people find you. So anytime I do a TV thing, people will contact me on social media afterwards, at least a couple people.
Now, when you were on David Letterman show or Conan show, do you get to talk to them before or afterwards?
David Letterman show, the Letterman show, I did not, both of them I didn't get a chance to talk to them, but Letterman, I heard from people that he does it on purpose. I heard he does it with guests on purpose, so the conversation, like the panel guests, so the conversation is very organic. With me, I just think they're so busy. Like, he didn't come up and say hello, but after I was done and he came over, he was very genuine and very kind and very very appreciative of me being on the show. And I usually sniff out BS with people, and I believed him when he was telling me. So, a hell of a nice guy, and it was just like I couldn't even believe I was standing there with him, shaking his hand when he's telling me that stuff. And then Conan, I got to meet him on stage as well, and then a little bit after, and I didn't get to meet him before. But sometimes he comes back before, but if he's not busy, and sometimes he doesn't.
Now, comics obviously have to travel, and they go from airplane to airplane going to different cities because they tour. And with everything that happened with Delta and United, what has the vibe been like the last few weeks at airports? Have things been more uptight lately?
No, I was on a plane, a Delta flight, and they were so nice. They're just, I think all of these airlines are just so nervous of losing customers or getting bad press that they're overly being nice. Like they're really being kind to everybody. You're getting smiles from people behind the desk when you're asking stupid questions. The people on the plane, the flight attendants are being very, very kind when you're on the flight, and they're very cheery more so than I remember. Now maybe that's all in my head because of the news story, but I don't think it is. I think when that happened with United, I think all those airlines, they had a meeting where they were like, "Hey, you guys better step it up, or we're going to be on the next on the news." You know,
dude, there's something about the airport that makes me very anxious. Like, once I'm in the airport, I just want to get to where I'm going and get out. I think it's because there's so many people there, but it just brings the anxious side of me out. You know?
Yeah, I think that I agree, and you know what it is. Also, do you fly a lot or no?
I fly maybe 3 times a year whenever I go home and visit Chicago because I live here in Tampa Bay and that's where my mom lives. But it's not like I'm there every other weekend. And I can't imagine being a comic and flying all the time. I've been thinking about it. I don't know how you guys do it. Whenever I'm there, man, I just get migraines all the time. I just don't want to be there.
You just like flying. I don't mind flying. And then now I've gotten to the point where I've worked out my system pretty much where I'm way calmer than I used to be. I used to be like you. I would show up. I would get there super early. If any little thing went wrong, I would freak out. Now I go and I wear comfortable clothes. I get there early enough to get on the plane. I go through the security. I try to be as calm as possible because there's nothing you can do. Like the more uptight you are in an airport, the more you're just going to drive yourself nuts. The more I've tried to calm down before I go. It's made me feel. I feel a lot like more. It makes me feel better. It makes me calmer for my trip. You know.
Now, since you do tour a lot, Sean, what are some of the best cities or small towns that you like to visit? So, like when you see that you're going to be there that year, you're very happy to go there. What are some of the towns and cities you like to visit?
I love Austin, Texas. I'm a big barbecue guy, and Austin. I know that's a cliche thing to say, but they really do have amazing barbecue. I like where you're from, Chicago, a lot. I think it's a fun city. It reminds me a lot of New York, and I think it's one of the only cities in the country that kind of held on to its original look from back in the day. Even New York kind of changes its face like every 12 years. You see all new stuff popping up and new trains and all that. But I think Chicago, when I walk around there, I see a lot of like they kind of hold on to a lot of old stuff from back in the day. And I also think it's a fun city. I liked Madison, Wisconsin. I went there and did comedy on stage. I love that town because it's like it's a small college town, but everybody is so optimistic and so upbeat living there. They're like so excited to be there, and it was like I think it's known as like one of the healthiest cities. And they have all these great breakfast places, and it's a cool thing. You can walk everywhere. It's awesome. So those are just a few of the places I like. I liked one of the weird reasons I like this place. I go to Phoenix, Arizona a lot, and I like there because I have bad sinus problems, and it clears out my sinus, which is not a very romantic reason, but I like going there. And it's really nice weather and all that. So I like different cities for different reasons. I love San Francisco. It's just way too expensive, but I love the city. I love walking around San Francisco. In San Diego, I just, like everybody, I love the weather in San Diego. So I think one of my favorite cities is, my two favorite cities are probably, I love Portland too. So Portland and Austin are probably my two favorites.
Now, for people here in Tampa Bay that would want to come out and see your show, or people that aren't sure if they want to come out or not, why should they come to see you this weekend here in Tampa Bay?
Come see the shows because I know what I'm doing. It's going to be a great show. It's fun. I talk about myself a lot. If it's kind of a break from politics, I'm not a political comedian. If that's your thing, then don't come, I guess. But I talk about myself a lot. It's a fun time. It's not like it's not like you're going to have a blast. I do crowd work. I do jokes. I don't know. It's just I'm a good comedian. Come out because I will make you laugh. That's basically all it comes down to. I will make you laugh, and you will have a good time, and you'll be able to bring a date if you'd like. That's my best reason I can give you. And I will say hello to you after and give you a hug. That's fine.
Now, for people that aren't in Tampa Bay and they want to check out your work, where can they find your work online, and where can they check out your podcast?
You can check out, I have a website, SeanDonnellyComedy.com. I have a Facebook page, Facebook.com/SeanDonnellyComedy. And then I have the podcast called Defend Your Movie, and you can get that on iTunes. You can Google Play, Stitcher, and there's this great app called Laughable, where it's a really cool idea. If you haven't checked it out yet, you type in a person, and it gives you a rundown of all the podcasts they've done, like the different episodes.
Oh, wow.
So it's definitely worth checking. Yeah, it's a great interface, too. Like, the way they designed it is like it's really easy to use. I love the look of it, everything about it. So you can get me on all the platforms, SoundCloud. You can get me on that as well as far as Defend Your Movie. So definitely check out the podcast. And I have a YouTube page as well, and I have a Twitter @SeanyTime. That's SeanyTime.
Well, dude, keep up the good work, man. I'm actually going to be at the show on Sunday at 7 p.m., so I'll be sure to come up and say what's up to you after the show.
Cool, man. Sounds good. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye. And that was comedian Sean Donnelly as he called into Hoppe Hour. Now, if you want to see him here in town in Tampa Bay, it's not hard. It's not rocket science. All you have to do is check out Side Splitters Comedy Club in Tampa Bay. They're at 12938 North Dale Mabry Highway, and that's in Tampa Bay. And you can call them at 813-960-1197. That's 813-960-1197. And there are shows on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a great club, and it's one of the best comedy clubs I've ever been to, and it's got great food, and it's a perfect place to take a girl on a date night. So go check out Sean Donnelly this weekend at Side Splitters Comedy Club. This has been Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, saying peace out.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.